Dear friends of the oceans, today we have reflected on ocean life and livelihoods all around the globe. The discoveries we have witnessed, the people we have met, the images that we have seen, and the issues that we have discussed are proof that the ocean touches us all, whether one lives on the coast or has never seen the sea. And as Dr. Sylvia Earle reminded us earlier today, the ocean is part of our shared past and common future, and it is the responsibility of us all to care for it so that the next generation can benefit from the ocean as much as we have. This is a task that we have to accomplish together. The nature of the ocean as a shared space with shared resources and common challenges compels us to cooperate across borders, regions, and sectors. Only by working together can we hope to resolve the challenges facing marine life, whether it is halting ocean acidification, protecting marine areas, or ensuring sustainable fisheries, to name but a few. And only by cooperating can we improve the livelihoods of the men and women that rely on the ocean for food, work, and shelter. Cooperation is one of the driving principles of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, the global treaty that sets out the legal framework within which all activities in the oceans and seas must be carried out. My office, through its Division for Ocean Affairs and the Law of the Sea, serves as the Secretariat of the Convention. And this means, among other things, that my office assists with the better understanding of that treaty and its implementing agreements in order to ensure their effective implementation and that it facilitates many of related processes convened by the General Assembly. Sometimes referred to as the Constitution for the Oceans, the Convention is permeated by the spirit of mutual understanding and cooperation. The historic significance of this convention as an important contribution to the maintenance of peace, justice, and progress for all peoples of the world cannot be underestimated. All issues relating to the law of the sea, from the conservation and management of living resources to the protection and preservation of the marine environment, have to be addressed as a whole. And this is a joint responsibility of all actors, from developed to developing countries, coastal and landlocked states, as well as international organizations. Within the United Nations system, my office cooperates closely with relevant organizations of the United Nations system and the International Seabed Authority under the umbrella of UN Oceans. Members of UN Oceans meet regularly to strengthen their collaboration and to share experiences and best practices on how to better assist states and other stakeholders on ocean-related matters. I have the honor to serve as focal point for UN Oceans together with my Division of Ocean Affairs and Law of the Sea. Acting as one, the members of UN Oceans work on all ocean issues that we have come across today and many more. It would take at least another day to tell all of these stories. However, we will sample some of them today to illustrate the impact of the work of the United Nations system on ocean life and livelihoods. I will leave it to my colleagues to introduce the organizations, but I wish to express my deep gratitude to all of those who have participated in this segment, as well as all other UN Oceans members for their cooperation and commitment to the ocean. Thank you very much and happy World Ocean Day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Serpa Soares. My name is Alice Hichu-Burundi, and I am a senior legal officer with the Division for Ocean Affairs and the Law of the Sea, DOALOS.
And I am Bart Smeduizenkunst, a legal officer at the division.
At DOALOS, we work on a wide variety of coastal and ocean-related matters at the United Nations, from helping states delimit and manage their maritime spaces, to providing technical assistance and capacity-building activities, and from facilitating treaty negotiations to preparing the World Ocean Assessment.
Indeed, the World Ocean Assessment is an important example of how we contribute to the understanding of the ocean. It is the only ocean assessment which addresses the three pillars of sustainable development: the environmental, economic, and social. As we will see in this first video, the newly released assessment points to some major findings for us all to take note of.
Several plans being advanced to consider affecting oceans by the atmosphere. The oceans themselves are more like a layer cake of densities. As you see on this chart.
In all our work, we collaborate closely with colleagues from around the world. And I am always amazed by the extraordinary depth and breadth of experience and expertise on oceans within the UN system and sister organizations that together form UN Oceans.
Today, we will show you some of this amazing and diverse work, some of which might surprise you. For example, did you know that the UN system has its own marine environmental studies laboratory, where nuclear scientists work every day on the safety of our seafood? Let's check out this next video of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA.
In Monaco, scientists at the IAEA's environmental laboratories are conducting research to better protect our coasts and oceans and to ensure the safety of seafood. As our oceans change, their work is becoming vital.
Since the industrial era, we can see that the contamination of the coast and the ocean is increasing.
Seafood is an essential source of food and revenue for millions of people worldwide. And now it's under increasing threat.
In seafood safety, we're interested in looking at contaminant flows through the food web, through trophic structure.
Nuclear techniques play an important role in better understanding how contaminants move through the food chain.
We use radioisotopes as proxies for metals and trace elements, and we can see how these trace elements move from land to the ocean through marine organisms.
One of the techniques we have developed here is basically to try to understand how the contaminants are going from the seafood to the human. And the technique is developed using radio tracer and to mimic each step of the human digestion.
These laboratories have developed a way to replicate the human digestive process. This allows scientists to observe which contaminants are broken down during digestion and which remain in our system. The information gathered through this research is provided to the IAEA's member states. With this scientific data, informed decisions can be made to improve the safety of seafood. How can scientists trace a barely visible plastic particle across the ocean, through a fish's body, and onto our plates? Microplastics in the sea now outnumber the stars in our galaxy, but we still don't know exactly where these tiny pieces of rubbish end up, or what effect they have on fish or the humans that eat them.
Nuclear techniques are a very useful tool in the research of microplastic particles in the ocean because we can follow microplastic particles through the food chain.
Radio tracers enable scientists to investigate whether the particles are crossing cell membranes. For example, from a mother shark through the egg case to a baby shark, or through a fish's food, such as these shrimp, into its digestive system and possibly into its brain or other organs. And they can see whether plastic pollution affects the way a fish absorbs nutrients or contaminants. This research is still new, but offers hope that we can better understand the effect of microplastics on marine life, because we can't solve a problem we don't understand.
As a lawyer, I am intrigued by the thought that some of our colleagues are using nuclear technologies to protect our food and our environment. You, an organization, also work to protect our rights and the rights of those working at sea. Let's take a look at this short video by the International Labour Organization, ILO.
The ocean is a workplace. 2 million seafarers make their living from it. 40 million fishers are engaged in capture fishing, and another 20 million people in aquaculture, and millions more in coastal tourism. Adopting sustainable labor practices is essential. More than 80% of world trade is carried by sea. Seafarers spend months away from their families and friends. Work aboard a ship is difficult and often dangerous. During the COVID-19 pandemic, thousands of seafarers have been stranded on ships for months, some for more than a year, unable to return home. Others have not been able to join their ships. The ILO has worked with shipowner and seafarer organizations, as well as the International Maritime Organization and others, to find solutions. The central tool for ensuring decent work for seafarers is the Maritime Labour Convention 2006. This convention sets out seafarers' rights to decent conditions of work.
It gives us a high awareness for the crew members to have a decent accommodation, for our salaries, for our wages, repatriation, sickness, and then hospitalization, which we can get from our companies.
According to the convention, states must ensure that all seafarers enjoy fundamental rights at work, and that laws are put into place on recruitment, working time, wages, food, living conditions, health and safety, welfare, and social protection. Fish makes up 17% of humanity's protein intake, meaning fishers play a vital role in worldwide food security. But their livelihoods depend on healthy oceans and sustainable practices, including labor practices. Most enjoy good working conditions, but too many work in hazardous or abusive environments, some facing forced labor, child labor, violence, and abandonment.
Siempre accidentes pequeños, más grandes. Aquí, en este, por desgracia, ya tuvimos pequeños y grandes. De hecho, hemos perdido un compañero. Y es así la vida.
The ILO's Work in Fishing Convention sets out global standards for work on fishing vessels. The convention ensures fishers have at least the same level of protection as workers ashore, and promotes dialogue among governments, fishing vessel owners, and fishers to improve conditions in the sector. The ILO helps countries adopt and apply this and other ILO conventions to improve national laws and to strengthen their inspection services so that those laws are fully enforced. Regulating working conditions also goes hand in hand with improving vessel safety and fighting illegal fishing. ILO standards, when ratified and enforced, change lives. They are essential to the economic, environmental, and social sustainability of our oceans.
The work of fishers is essential to the livelihoods of many coastal communities. Let's see how the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the FAO, assists small-scale fishers around the world.
Our oceans are a precious source of highly nutritious food and provide employment and incomes for millions of men and women who depend on small-scale fisheries for their livelihoods. Small-scale fishers and fish workers, including indigenous people, account for over 90% of these working in capture fisheries. They produce half of the catch in developing countries, and 50% of them are women. Despite these numbers, too often they go unnoticed or aren't given access to the resources they need. The voluntary guidelines for securing sustainable small-scale fisheries developed by FAO, its members, organizations, and partners are an innovative tool that empowers fishers and allows them to play an active role in issues that affect their daily lives and livelihoods. In Costa Rica, the guidelines have proven to be key to the sustainability of the small-scale fisheries sector, highlighting the valuable contribution of small-scale fisheries to the eradication of hunger and poverty. The guidelines have also helped small-scale fishers and mollusk harvesters to access resources.
El proyecto de las directrices vino a rescatar en el 2015 y el 2016 se reconoció la participación de la mujer en la labor pesquera, que era algo que nunca se había reconocido, creando el Fondo FOMujeres, que vino a beneficiar a un sinnúmero de personas, 80 proyectos de emprendimientos de mujeres que salieron beneficiadas con equipos de pesca, motores, trasmayos y todo un sinnúmero de actividades para realizar esta labor dignamente.
Small-scale fisheries serve as an engine for the local economy in Costa Rica. The guidelines are providing coastal communities with the right tool to voice their rights and improve their lives and livelihoods. The mangrove forests of the Sinai Salom Delta in central Senegal are breeding grounds for fish and marine species on which local communities depend. But rising sea levels have made the swampy waters overly saline, threatening the survival of the mangroves and the fish and other species found there. FAO and UNEP, together with the government of Senegal, are helping communities to apply the principles of the guidelines to save these natural habitats and safeguard their livelihoods for the future. Women play an essential part. They do the cleaning, the on-growing, the marketing, and are in control of the whole value chain.
Loolu mën naa am ñun sax dañ ci nekk di sàmm ndax man mii di wax ak yow am naa benn pilaweur boo xam ne bu ma ko solee bu ma ànd ak jigéen ñi kenn du dagg mangaro kenn ñemewu ko bi jàpp doomu yoxos bi sax boo ko daggee ma dal si sa kaw kon kooku xam ne lan mooy njëriñ lépp lu ñuy liggéey fii ci biir mangaro bi lañ koy dugal.
In Morocco, where post-harvest activities are carried out mainly by women, the application of the guidelines has enabled women to engage more directly and responsibly in their business and to better control their earnings.
جاتني فكرة خدمتي هذه الشبكة جا واحد الإنسان قال لي أنتينا خدامة هذه الشبكة نعملوا واحد تعاونية خاص النساء الشبكة صافي عملت هذه الشبكة دخلت معايا شحال د الأخوات حتى هما كيخدموا معنا الشبكة وزعما ماشي مزيان عملنا هذا اليوم من واحد الامتحان شي 5 خرجوا مزيان زعما بالصنعة ديالهم مزيانة تقدر تعطي لهم هذه الشبكة ياخذ خدمة واحدة.
Small-scale fisheries are the lifeblood of many coastal communities and the social, economic, and cultural engine of their livelihoods. Ensuring their rights is the best way to empower them today and build a better future tomorrow. The International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture 2022 will be an opportunity to value the contribution of small-scale fisheries to sustainable development.
Small-scale fishers and coastal communities are particularly vulnerable to changes in the climate. Improving our understanding of the complicated relationship between the ocean and our climate, the weather, is crucial to safeguard life and livelihoods, as we will see in this video on the work of the World Meteorological Organization.
The ocean covers over 70% of our planet. It drives the planet's water cycle, weather, and climate. Its powerful energy can unleash the world's most destructive storms. Yet the ocean is also vulnerable, impacted by our actions. The ocean absorbs over 90% of the heat trapped by increasing greenhouse gas emissions, warming the water and leading to marine heat waves, melting ice and sea level rise. Understanding the connection between the ocean, weather and climate has never been more important. The more we understand, the better we can predict and prepare for weather and climate hazards on land and sea. Information about the ocean helps guide decisions in so many areas of life. Coastal areas, pummeled by intense storms, use ocean and atmospheric information to accurately predict and forecast the severity and duration of these events. Ocean information is also vital to improving seasonal sea ice predictions, helping ships to safely plan their routes and enabling coastal communities to stay safe. Climate variability due to changing sea surface temperatures, atmospheric pressure and wind can influence seasonal weather. Understanding these changes allows for better predictions and more effective planning. Knowing weather forecasts, ocean currents, and drift patterns aids navigation and fishing, while also improving search and rescue operations and responses to hazards such as oil spills. To understand the ocean, we need sustained research and observations. WMO, together with other United Nations agencies and partners, plays a critical role in driving international collaboration, ensuring the collection of ocean data and its free and open distribution. WMO empowers meteorological services with the knowledge and capability to provide better early warnings and information to help protect communities from hazards. To understand our weather and climate, we need to know more about the ocean, for today and for our future.
Ocean observation is also crucial to ensure the safety of navigation and shipping, which is a core mandate of the International Maritime Organization, the IMO. The COVID-19 pandemic has made clear how dependent we are on the work of seafarers, as we will see in this next video.
The oceans are home to hundreds of thousands of species, but they are also essential for lives and livelihoods above sea level. At any one time, 1 million seafarers are at work on ships. These men and women often go to sea for months at a time to transport the food we eat, the energy that keeps us warm, and the medicines that save lives. When they go home, their incomes sustain their families and wider communities. But when the pandemic struck, hundreds of thousands of seafarers were left stranded at sea and unable to go home. Far away from their loved ones for months beyond the end of their initial contracts, facing physical and mental exhaustion.
The longer you stay out there, the more fatigue you get physically. The hours start to add up. The weeks and months start to add up.
None of us signed up for that. We wanted to go to work, do our bit, and then come home. We didn't sign up for this sort of what felt like an unwanted prison sentence, an unjustified prison sentence.
IMO acted decisively. Our Seafarer Crisis Action Team directly helped hundreds of men and women return home safely, and we urged governments to facilitate crew changes. This is making a significant difference. As more countries responded to IMO's call, the number of stranded seafarers has gone down, from a peak of 400,000 in November 2020 to 200,000 in March 2021. And we continue to work with other UN agencies, such as the International Labour Organization, to ensure seafarers' rights are respected, allowing them to work safely and keep supply chains going for all of us. Seafarers are not the only ones to call the ocean their workplace. Across the world, millions of fishers rely on resources from the sea, but their profession is one of the most dangerous on the planet.
It's a matter of life and death, really, that over 20,000 people lose their lives at sea every year because of the unregulated state of the fishing industry.
To make the profession safer, IMO is supporting countries to ratify and implement a set of international rules on the safety of fishing vessels, known as the Cape Town Agreement. So far, around 50 states indicated their intention to ratify the treaty. When the agreement enters into force, it will improve the safety of life at sea and help fight illegal, unregulated, and unreported fishing, therefore protecting the resources at the heart of those lives and livelihoods. To protect livelihoods above sea level in the long term, we need to preserve life underwater. IMO regulations have cut oil spills from ships and stopped ships from offloading plastic into the sea. IMO is also leading a series of projects to preserve the marine environment, protect biodiversity, and limit the spread of invasive species. 17 specific zones, known as particularly sensitive sea areas, have been designated by IMO. Ship routing measures have been specifically tailored to protect their fragile ecosystems and the livelihoods who depend on them. Only by protecting those habitats will we protect the roots and workplaces that the oceans make possible for all of us.
Earlier today, we learned about the immense pressure faced by coral reefs around the world. They are in dire straits, but there is hope, thanks in part to the work of the World Heritage Center of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO.
The UNESCO World Heritage List includes 29 coral reef systems, sites of outstanding universal value that are protected as part of the common heritage of humanity.
They're unique treasures among everything we see in the oceans, but at the same time they support entire livelihoods. They support local communities, indigenous communities. Those coral reef systems, they're invaluable to humanity.
Today, climate change threatens the existence of coral reefs and the people who depend on them. Scientists predict that all World Heritage listed reefs will experience bleaching twice per decade by 2040, leaving no time for them to recover in between, spelling disaster for those who depend on the reefs. UNESCO, in partnership with the Great Barrier Reef Foundation and a diverse set of global partners, joined together to develop the Resilient Reefs Initiative and appointed chief resilience officers at 4 initial reefs. In Australia, Joel Johnson is the first resilience officer for a UNESCO Marine World Heritage Site.
Resilient Reefs is a global program that's aimed at finding local solutions to these really tricky issues like climate change and overfishing and pollution that are affecting our coral reefs.
Joel brings scientists, coastal community members, government and businesses together to create a joint strategy for the future of their reef.
The goal of the Resilient Strategy is basically to engage really broadly with a wide range of stakeholders to really understand what the key dynamics are between those groups and how those dynamics affect reef health generally.
Together, they identify threats and risks to their local reef and create a plan to ensure the reef is as resilient as possible to help it withstand climate change.
Good to see all the faces from all over the world. I hope you're enjoying your...
Resilient Reefs really recognises that healthy coral reef ecosystems rely on healthy communities.
In Belize, Beverly Wade connects with Belizean stakeholders.
Tourism is the #1 income earner in Belize. 8 out of every 10 persons that comes to Belize engage in some sort of marine activities, whether it's fishing, whether it's snorkeling, whether it's diving. Our reef is a part of who we are, our identity, our culture, and our heritage.
The Resilient Reefs initiative is not about solving the global climate problem, but about building local resilience to inevitable change that is already happening.
We're all doing the best we can in our individual countries, but this project gives us the opportunity to come together and to learn from each other, not reinvent the wheel, to find out that somebody may have already solved a problem that we have.
The futures of the world's ecological and human systems are deeply interconnected. Protecting nature means protecting people.
We will end with a message from Donna Bertorelli, the Special Advisor of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, for the Blue Economy. We hope that this brief sample of the work we do with colleagues around the world has given you a better sense of how the United Nations is working to help enhance ocean health, governance, and sustainability.
Indeed, thank you very much for watching, and many thanks to all who have contributed to this segment. And now let's hear from Ms. Bertorelli, a philanthropist, ocean conservation advocate, and an entrepreneur, and also the fastest woman to sail around the world. Thank you.
My name is Donna Bertorelli. I am the UNCTAD Special Advisor for the Blue Economy. But I am also just a human being who loves the ocean. My message today is from the heart. To everybody watching, a very happy World Oceans Day for 2021. This is a moment for us to celebrate the beauty and the bounty of our ocean, and the deep connection that has always existed between humankind and the sea. To celebrate how it gives life and livelihoods to 3 billion people every day, and honor the ocean as the priceless treasure, the nurturing life force that it is to every person on the blue planet. But what about the immense challenges we face as we pursue 30 by 30? Our mission to fully protect 30% of the ocean by 2030. Challenges like climate change and its huge impact on ocean life, pollution by plastic, toxic substances and waste, overfishing and extraction, the devastation of traditional ocean-dependent livelihoods, the injustices and inequalities at the meeting tables of ocean production. These challenges are daunting, and yet, as we face them, we can still celebrate. Because right now, there is more awareness of the challenges than at any other time in decades. Protecting the ocean is no longer a niche pursuit, it's mainstream. Every day, more and more people count themselves as advocates, learn about what's needed and how they can help. And then there are the professionals and the experts, and those, especially indigenous people and women, who have dedicated their lives to building the blue economy, finding sustainable, regenerative ways for humans to live and work with the ocean. The world's ocean is vast. Its connection with us is intricate. The issues are complex, but we're coming together with a simple goal. We must pull off the great balancing act between production and protection. And today we celebrate the achievements that are already proving that it's possible. We're seeing that profit does not have to come at the expense of marine ecosystems. or human health that the blue economy can be successful because marine protected areas are respected. I am a lover of the ocean. I am a lover of humanity. On World Oceans Day 2021, join me in celebrating the simple truth that guides us all. When the ocean thrives, so does humanity.